Welcome back to day 7 of our journey to 2000 ELO on chess.com. Let's just jump on ahead and find our opponent for today. We're currently at 1536 ELO, and I'm curious to see whether we'll have a win, a loss, or maybe even a draw today. 1d4, not the most typical kind of game we face. Let's play this into something of a Queen's Gambit declined maybe, which I think is what I tend to prefer, while playing into 1d4. Our opponent could take, and we could have some kind of an exchange variation here, or alternatively, we could just see the bishop coming out perhaps. This could be played. We could even see this move, I think. f3 I don't think is one of the main moves, at least. Haven't seen this before, that's for sure. I think it's because this might intend to grab the entire center like this if we take. But I don't think we will be taking though. Because typically speaking, that's not how you want to play this. I think we could come out to c5 though. And get this. Just applying pressure. Now we have some symmetrical pressure here. If this happens, importantly, we do still have 1, 2, 3 pieces defending this pawn on d5. So this queen being opened up is not an immediate problem, I don't think. Curious to see how our opponent here is going to justify f3. Most likely they intended for this and this, as I mentioned. This is an interesting move. And I think we have to come up here because we cannot quite do this, because then this, and then I don't think we can go like this because we lose a pawn there. So we'll have to come up this way first. So if this is played, we can take with the bishop, so our queen doesn't live the defense of this d5 pawn. Oh, that's honestly quite interesting. I didn't see the move. Is this some kind of a common trap, perhaps? Might be. But can we push, maybe? Problem here is if we take like this, we'll have this, and the pawn will take. And then I think probably we just lose the pawn entirely. Let's say we castle then our opponent takes another pawn. And we could try and argue then we are sacrificing a pawn for development. And honestly, that's kind of difficult to calculate. It might be good, but it's not incredibly concrete. This though, the problem here is the knight can jump in, apply pressure down here against this knight. So I think we'll be allowing this maybe, going into the line we looked at. And most likely, I guess, we don't have to take with the queen this. Our opponent might take. We could take like this, have some mass simplification, but we should have the better development because of this kingside. Which honestly, I think this might be our best option here for the time being. Let's take. This will probably be played. And we can't take with the pawn either because, yeah, that's not possible, it seems. There is this maybe. Didn't quite consider what would happen here if our opponent took first, which they did in fact do now. Do we come here maybe? We could see this. There is no real threat down here yet because our bishop is not quite in the wrong position just yet. here. I don't quite love it, but it might not be all that bad actually. Let's say we take, right? Our opponent takes, we take. Problem is, our opponent could have some in-between moves, forcing some awkward structure for us. This is an alternative, I think. And then if this is played, our opponent could take, and we could just go into this position where we have a developmental lead for the cost of a pawn. I think we'll be doing it, in fact, because I don't see good alternatives. Now we might have to go here, but by doing so, we get to win this pawn back. It's going to compromise our structure a bit, but, well, it is how it is. Sometimes we have to make some annoying decisions. At least we don't lose material here. This is annoying for our opponent because it will force the king to f2. Don't know if it's entirely bad or not, but it looks a bit ugly. So most likely the bishop comes out here now. And then I think we just take this pawn with the knight, I'd guess. If the bishop came out this way then, we could castle. Or we could start off by taking the knight, I think. This quickly turned into a weird position here, as we're playing Topen M from, well, another international player it seems. Or from Russia, I guess. The flag has been removed. I'm seeing an interesting idea here, actually. We might not have to take this pawn. This seems to be a fork to some degree, because it threatens this, this, and this. Or it threatens this, which seems really annoying. But first, I think we would like to go for this, actually. And if this is played, this, this, and this, we have an isolated pawn. So maybe this is better. Sacrificing the pawn like this, and this development seems pretty good, as I mentioned. Just have to make sure this is never a good move, but I don't think it is here. So let's come up here, actually. I might be mistaken here, but from my intuition at least, I think this looks pretty okay. This isn't playable, or it might be actually. No, it's not. We just take because the pawn can't be pushed up because we have sufficient control here. Would like to get castled quickly. Definitely not a bad idea here, but decided I'd try to play a bit more fancy here, or at least this might be a bit more accurate. There might be this now though, but then I think we might come here. This is a check. The knight might have to come back. Or well, if this is played, we might just go here even. And then once the knight comes back here, I guess we have this. This can't be played because we can take the knight then. So the situation here is getting a bit complicated for sure, but I think it's maybe in our favor despite us being down a pawn. Although our king's safety has to be dealt with at some point. Our opponent's king is no safer, I think. This can't be played because we can just take them. And the knight, well, it could come out this way and defend itself by doing that, but then we have this still. So it's not really all that easy for our opponent, I don't think. We can't bring our knight up here. Now this is a difficult decision actually, because either we take here or we take like this, or like this rather. My intuition here tells me we should take like this first, because if we take like this, I don't think our king gets any safe at all this game. But at the same time, we would be up. Wouldn't really be up material when I think about it. Now let's come here, take this, which seems more safe at least. And then we will follow up with our previous threat. I think we would be looking at this here if this was the best move or not. Might have very well been, but it's really dangerous if we go for the move there, because then we're just entirely open and our opponent does in fact still have most of their pieces. Now, because the pawn is gone, we can come up here defending the back rank, developing stuff, maybe connecting our rooks if we castle then. Looks like an idea. We could get a rook to d8, kick the queen out. And definitely our development here is looking really strong, at least compared to what this is. An unexpected move here by our opponent, but I think we have something really good here, which is this, this, and this, picking up the bishop. Let's calculate this first. If the king is first out, we come here. Then there is only one move, namely going here. I don't think we have a checkmate. Would be really funny if we did, but we don't, at least not this way. But just winning the bishop in and of itself has to be good. I think our opponent missed this. And now, just have to make sure here we don't give up a potential checkmate. This, well, this is blocked now, but the knight could block. Let's say we go here. If the knight blocks, no, I don't think we should be getting too fancy here. Definitely not. This is just a free piece. The king safety is absolutely messed up for our opponent. This is just a free piece. Yep, seems about right. Let's take it. And whatever is this king going to do, I don't know at all. If we get to castle, we should be really happy. Okay. Our opponent pushes the pawn here. I guess opening up this bishop for stuff down here maybe. There is no threat from this move. I'm just looking at a few alternatives here. Our bishop isn't threatened, although it's slightly loose. It's not the end of the world. We could go here, but... Oh, is this a move? It could be really interesting here. If we go like this, take this, the rook would be hanging. But then this is still a move. I think we would like to castle first. Might just seem to be the better idea. We're just in a better spot here in general, so I don't think we have to be getting all that fancy. I don't see any discoveries against the bishop here, or double attacks, so let's just castle. This king, definitely a bit too weak for our opponent's liking. The king side, non-existent. So I think we've gotten out of the opening pretty decently here. We can't quite come out here because we can just get taken, but if we develop the knight first, we should be able to connect our rooks and bully our opponent's pieces. I'm still just looking for some alternative moves here in case we might have some, but I don't really see a whole lot. This knight doesn't introduce a whole lot of threats either. It can't jump here, can't necessarily jump here. It could go here, but not if we come like this first, which is our most natural move. So let's go here. All our stuff is protected from infiltration. All of this is covered. And now, most likely I think this rook comes to d1, or d8 rather, because this rook here might belong on the c-file. The king still crying over here. We might have ideas like this actually. Hitting this, we have this diagonal. We might even brute force our way in with moves like this. And then if this is played, we could come here maybe. Trying to trade off queens, and being up a piece here, we should be really happy trading off material, but I think our pieces are probably more worth than our opponent's pieces right now. Don't think this is an issue. A few moves ago, or 1 or 2 moves ago at least, I said here we would take, but I realized I don't necessarily want to open up this, as our h6 pawn is a bit weak. And this knight is not doing a whole lot. If it jumps here, we just take it. If it jumps here, we just take it. And, well, it could jump back, but, well, that's about it. So let's not do that. I think maybe we'll come up like this, and if the queen comes here, we have this fork. So the queen has to come all the way back here to one of those squares, which most likely it definitely doesn't want to do. So let's go here. This could be played, after which this is probably a move, but our opponent falls to the fork. So this should be a quick queen. Our opponent resigns. I'm really happy with today's game. Thanks for the game. I'm feeling like my tactical level has risen a bit as of late after a long while of subpar tactical play. Still, well, we didn't play with a super high accuracy, 76.4. Our opponent played with 51.8, but honestly I don't even blame them, because this game became quite tactical. We had a horrendously bad opening, 62.8, so that's going to have to be looked at, but our middle game rate accuracy was really decent. Let's just come on through here, all good up until this point, and this was a mistake. Should have taken. If this was played, why can't I? I guess my computer is just lagging a bit here. If this was played, we develop with tempo. This could have been played. I don't quite see why the position is all that good. I guess it makes some sense as we get a lot of development here, but this is a difficult position to evaluate, I think. This didn't happen though. We went here, which was not the best move. Our opponent took. We should have pushed here, which I looked at, just thought it looked a bit scary maybe. A misevaluation, I guess, by me. This wasn't good, should have went here immediately, but I didn't see the move until after this. Here I saw the move. This is just blunder after blunder by either one of us. Position got really weird for a long time here. I'm glad our opponent took this because I don't typically like going for what are they called again? For gambits, but gambiting this pawn here led to really good development, which I think was worthwhile. We had this, glad to have found it, because otherwise we had to do some weird stuff, coming back or coming like this, or we could have gone here, but I didn't love that either. Then this is still a threat on the rook. So this was good. We picked up this. Apparently we should have checked here, didn't quite see concrete plans here, but let's say this is played, we take here then. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because if we go for the check, if our opponent does not block, the king is first out here, and well, that's never going to be good. Going out in front of the pawns. Funnily enough, the best move is not even capturing the free bishop. Well, we got to this position, got to castle, went out with our pieces, and honestly from this point on it was pretty straightforward. Position was so bad for our opponent. Blundering the fork here was not even considered a bad move. Well, I guess that's about it for today's game. This was actually a really fun game, a short one though, and a really tactical one. So well, thanks to TopenM for the game. Thanks for watching to the end of the video, guys. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your days, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye bye!